Ever found yourself staring at a super long, complex formula and struggling to understand it? Do you wish there was a simpler way? Well, then stick with us while we figure it out. Hi, I'm Bruno, and welcome to the Power Minutes. Today's topic comes from a mentoring discussion we had about best practices and code readability in Canvas apps. Best practices tell us that we should name each component in a distinguishable way, that we should use global variables for app-wide settings, user information, or data that needs to be used across multiple screens, while context variables, also known as local variables, should store screen-specific states, temporary user input, or filters relevant to that one specific screen. But in Canvas apps, even with these best practices in mind, our code sometimes ends up being scattered across several components. Sure, we can and we should add component comments to it, but those can only help us so much. But that is why there is the with function, and that's what it comes in hand. So we will explore it today using this mortgage calculator. In our scenario, business requested that we should keep the original function over here in code so that they could have an easier time validating since they use this formula daily. This left the development team with a logic that for them was not very perceptible, and we needed to leverage it. Thanks to the with function, we're able to create an in scope in this function variable that only exists within the function. I know it's a bit of a tongue twister. I tripped myself over here, but there is advantages to it. So if you check over here in our code, we will check that this will work. The best part of this is that it's nestable, meaning you can call another with function inside an already existing function. So if we start looking at it, this formula is very hard to read unless you're in finance. Yes, they gave us that R is the interest rate and that it's calculated by annual rate being divided by annual payments. P stands for amount, number of payments is N, and so on. So that is all very hard to churn. We are used to very often just put a label field in those variables calculated over here as we have. As we move, it also calculates. Generally, what would happen is people would create a field for each calculation, visible or hidden, and then later on they would make the calculations on a final field. Well, that's not always helpful. You're scattering your logic, you're scattering your code, and sometimes it's hard to read because you simply don't know where things are, and then you realize it's on a hidden field. Together with the with function, we basically reverse engineered it. So we have our function over here at the end, and then as you see that at the start, we decided to say, okay, annual rate is based on the slider value divided by 8 divided by 100, exactly what we have around here or similar to it. We had to make a few changes. That the amount is the slider times 10,000, and of course the years is based on the slider value, and we just defaulted annual payments for 12, so you're paying every month. Then we were able to refactor that R into annual rate divided by annual payments, P being amount, and N being years divided by payments. With all that together, we are able to then simply keep our logic in scope of the with function. In short, global variables are across the entire application, context variables within a specific screen, and with you become focused on application or function specific actions. This allows you to have code condensed, readable, and of course reapplicable only in the areas that you want. Meaning that in grand scheme of schemes, you don't have to do that lookup field multiple times. Maybe you just invoke once with and reuse it across your code, assuming that you have it in the same container. And there you have it. Rather than having everything across multiple places, condense it all in one place without adding variables that need to be maintained elsewhere. That was the power of with. If you thought this was helpful and you wish to know more, reach out to AppFi and see how we can help you.